Good morning. I'm Jacqueline Matter. It is 4 a.m. on this Wednesday, July 29th. Thanks for starting your morning with us right here on Fox 5 and streaming on Fox Local. Here's what's happening today. After a night of severe storms, we are in for a more pleasant day in the DMV. We're tracking the comfortable conditions plus the aftermath of last night's storms. Then the fight over bringing a new power substation to Fairfax County heats up inside last night's public meeting where neighbors are pushing back against the plans, which some say would be built too close to their homes. And they're back. The dreaded return of the invasive spotted lanternfly in the DMV. The one thing you can do to help decrease their presence. Your news at 4 starts right now. Well, good morning. Thanks for joining us here at 4 a.m. Glad to have you here with us. Many folks waking up to the cleanup. We have our crews out there getting a better picture of what it looks like across the DMV this morning, Taylor. But I know there was some really tumultuous weather out there, even a tornado, it looked like, along the eastern shore.
Right. Confirmed a tornado out of the eastern shore for sure. Not exactly sure what level of tornado that exactly was yet, but I'm sure we'll get more information. And we're going to get more information as kind of the assessment storm damage all comes in early this morning. So again, today should be much quieter. We'll still be warm. We'll maybe get a couple of showers to not completely dry out there. It looks like the rest of the week will turn much nicer, especially for Thursday and Friday. So I'll have a full look at that 7-day forecast and what to expect moving forward, especially into the weekend coming up here in a couple of minutes. Jacqueline?
All right, Taylor, we'll talk to you then. First, we begin with breaking news this morning. D.C. police investigating a stabbing that happened around midnight along 3rd Street Southeast. So far, no word on the victim's condition. A motive also still unclear at this time, and police have not made any arrests. Our other top story this morning, cleanup currently underway across parts of the DMV after powerful storms tore through the area last night. Those storms damaging homes and businesses. And this morning, we're getting a closer look at that damage. Our Melanie Alnwick joining us live from Northwest D.C. with more. Mel, how's it looking out there this morning?
Hey, good morning. Yeah, very quiet and cool this morning. Let me give you a roundup here of the remaining power outages. Pepco says it has about 1,000 customers out. Dominion, Virginia, about 351 in Northern Virginia. BGE with the most, about 10,000, but the majority of those are concentrated in Baltimore, Baltimore City, Anne Arundel, and Howard County. About 865 in Prince George's County and 405 remaining in Montgomery County without power. But we all experienced this yesterday. You know, when the skies darken and the rain starts to go sideways, a lot of times you think, oh, well, maybe I'll just go under one of these canopies for a little bit of cover. But as you can see behind me, this was not a safe place to be last night. Now you can see how this canopy here toppled. I want to show you some video also from last night. You're about to see images also there in the black and white camera of the moment when the canopy came crashing down. There were customers there at the gas pumps at the time. Some of them got away, but you can see that white van got trapped underneath the canopy. Fortunately, everyone was able to get out okay. More video here about 3 miles away from where we are. This is at 37th Street near the Sidwell Friends School, and you can see a massive tree there split in half by those strong winds, pulling power lines with it as it crashed down onto 37th Street Northwest. And in Montgomery Village, a woman is counting her blessings this morning.
I'm just grateful to be alive right now because at the time I was laying on the bed, but I got up to go do something, and I was on my way downstairs when the tree fell through my room onto my bed.
Take a look here. The damage to Yolanda Frazier's home is incredible. The tree came through her back fence on Turtle Dove Court, then crashed through the ceiling. She fears she's lost a lot of personal belongings and has a lot of expensive repairs ahead. Now, we do know that the Red Cross was out there on Turtle Dove Court last night to assist Yolanda with housing or anything else that she needs. And just by the way, looking at some of the weather data, the wind gusts here in Northwest yesterday, right about the time that storm blew through, were more than 40 miles an hour.
All right, Mel, thank you. We'll get a better picture as the sun does come up this morning. Taking a look at our other top stories, a shooting investigation underway in Fairfax County. Last night, a man was shot along Fairchild Drive in Groveton. He was taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. Police say the victim and suspect knew each other. The suspected shooter was taken into custody near the scene. A judge has granted a $25,000 bond to the bus driver accused in a deadly multi-car crash on I-95. The judge overturning a lower court's bond decision after the defense appealed. Jing Sheng Dong faces involuntary manslaughter for the May crash that killed 5 people in Stafford County. His attorney believes it could take time for Dong to meet the bail conditions, including securing housing in Virginia. His trial is set for October. All right, 4:05 this morning. Let's get another look outside out towards National Harbor as we get our Wednesday started. Much better weather coming our way, which is a nice reprieve for a lot of folks out there.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to at least flip the switch a little bit. Well, we've gotten rid of the severe weather overnight, thankfully, after all the damage that came through yesterday. And today is going to be much quieter. We're just not going to be in a complete clear for any kind of showers out there. So 71 degrees. It is still pretty humid out there, unfortunately. So deal with the mugginess early this morning. We're in the upper 60s to lower 70s across most of the area. Heads up. Excuse me, we do have some storm damage again across the entire area. So if you see something laying on the road or something like that, just a heads up, you're going to see some debris out there and maybe even some still high standing water from all the activity that moved through late last night. Here's a live look at radar right now. You can see everything's pretty much come to an end. Not going to rule out the chance for maybe a couple of showers passing by on a persistent northwesterly breeze. But again, with that cold front, the severe weather threat is at least over. Today we'll bring back some sunshine, kind of a few clouds at times, maybe a brief passing shower, but most of you stay dry. Low 80s around noon today, mid 80s by 5 p.m. Jacqueline.
All right, Taylor, thank you. Taking a look at traffic here this morning. There is some construction on the outer loop in Cabin John between Cabin John Parkway and GW Parkway. As you can see, traffic getting by in the left lane only. So you are seeing about 20 minutes to go 2 miles as you drive through that work zone. So something to keep in mind. I'm sure they'll start picking up the cones here shortly as the morning commute gets underway. Well, now to the war in Iran. The U.S. military says it intercepted an Iranian ballistic missile targeting a U.S. military base and what U.S. Central Command describes as a, quote, attempted surprise attack. This marks Iran's first ballistic missile attack against a U.S. base in that region since President Trump paused strikes against Iran last Friday. It also comes hours after Trump met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at the White House. Earlier this week, President Trump told Axios that the U.S. is in, quote, very deep talks with Iran, but warned that military action could start again. Also comes as the 6-month mark there as the war in Iran continues on. Meanwhile, for the first time since America and Israel joined forces to attack Iran, President Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu met face-to-face in a closed-door meeting yesterday. The two world leaders discussing ways to keep Iran from getting its hands on a nuclear weapon. During that meeting, Netanyahu also reportedly pushed the president to expand the war with Iran.
You have a lot of competing factions. You have a group of people that wanted to be obliterated in the truest sense of the word. Then you have a group that says this is actually a good time to make a deal.
Now, the two also discussed the U.S.-Israel-Lebanon trilateral agreement and potential paths toward expanding the Abraham Accords to include Saudi Arabia. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky also calling his meeting with President Trump a success. The two leaders met yesterday ahead of the funeral of Senator Lindsey Graham to discuss ways for Ukraine to produce its own powerful weapons in its ongoing war against Russia. Zelensky says they also discussed the licenses for Patriot interceptor production. Both Zelensky and Netanyahu attended Senator Graham's funeral, a nod to Graham's foreign policy work. Speaking of the late Senator Lindsey Graham, he will be laid to rest today in South Carolina. His remains expected to arrive at the South Carolina State House later this morning, where his casket will be escorted along Main Street with a military flyover and special tribute from law enforcement. At noon, there will be a public funeral service for the senator ahead of a private burial at the Mount Zion Cemetery. Meantime, back here in Washington yesterday, friends and colleagues paid their final respects to the late senator, with President Trump delivering a eulogy at a funeral service held for Graham at the National Cathedral.
He was so strong, confident, witty, and full of life. How lucky were all of us to have known Lindsey. He was a humble man from humble beginnings, and he never forgot that. He took care of people in need. He defended the defenseless. He put everyone above himself.
That was his niece there. Lindsey Graham passed away earlier this month from heart disease. He was 71 years old. His sister, Darlene Graham, was appointed to fill his vacant seat and is expected to run for a full term in next month's special primary election. The office of Senator Mitch McConnell giving an update on his recovery. His team releasing this photo showing the 84-year-old Kentucky Republican with his wife, Elaine Chao. Despite the attempts to reassure the public of McConnell's health, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear says his office is not doing enough and that McConnell needs to share more details on his medical condition or resign.
All we're asking is just a little bit of proof. And I get that everybody wants a certain level of privacy, but when you run for these jobs, you know you're giving some of that up.
I hope he gets back soon. And I'd be surprised if he's not back in a few weeks. I think we might even see him if there were a really important close vote.
McConnell, who is now reportedly out of the hospital, has been under medical care for 6 weeks, but has not been cleared to return to Washington. The lawmaker is set to retire in January. 4:11 this morning, still to come, a frantic search on the Potomac after a swimmer goes missing. We have the latest as crews deploy boats, helicopters, and drones over Great Falls. Plus, Prince George's County looking ahead to what's next after the closing of Six Flags, how you can help name the new development coming to the old site.